at home, a new poll shows that Trump voters approve of Operation Epic Fury, with 70% saying they support the president's actions in Iran. Joining us now is Republican Senator Mike Rounds of South Dakota. He's also a member of the Armed Services Committee. Sir, great to see you tonight. Thank you so much for coming to the studio.
Thank you.
Great to have you.
Appreciate the opportunity to visit.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So should we be surprised that Republicans are this united behind the president?
No. And I think what you're going to find is that as people learn more and more about the reasons and the demand in terms of the time, I think you'll find Americans standing behind the president's decision. He made the right choice. There's only a certain limited amount of time in which they were still down because of the attacks that had taken out their air systems earlier. It was a time in which their protections against their nuclear sites had been taken down already. And at the same time, we knew that they were rebuilding their anti-aircraft defenses. We knew that they were building offensive weapons, both short-term and long-term missiles. And we wanted to make sure that if our young men and women were going to be in harm's way coming in, we wanted the Iranian defenses to be as low as possible. That's the reason for if there ever was a good time to go in, it was better than other times.
Speaking of putting men and women in harm's way, there has been a lot of talk about, of course, the Marines that have been sent who are on their way to this region, what they will be doing. There's rumors of them taking Carg Island. As Garrett just mentioned, there are talks about getting to that enriched uranium that the Iranians have admitted to still having. What are your thoughts about whether that would be necessary in order to achieve the objectives that the president has laid out and what you've heard from briefings on Capitol Hill?
Well, first of all, yeah, the island itself is at risk, and it's a real opportunity for us to literally limit the Iranians from being able to produce more oil and to literally shut off the lifeblood for the country. It is also an area where we've already taken out their defenses. And now you have a system which, if we control it, we can basically tell the Iranians, look, you get rid of the problems around the Strait of Hormuz, or you're not going to have any oil. And so I think it's a very reasonable expectation. But once again, it's going to be up to the president as to what he wants to do, what he thinks is the right thing to do, and at the right time. Bottom line, the Iranians can't continue to be the creator of terrorism throughout the world and taking out our young men and women in the Middle East. It's time to call it. It's time to get this thing over with.
Yeah, enough of what they've been doing. I'm shifting focus back to this town and also to the rest of the country, onto the Save America Act. Chuck Schumer, Senate Minority Leader, continues to argue that the vast majority of people don't want this kind of legislation. This kind of voter ID is not necessary. Let's take a listen.
That is what the Republican Senate is wasting our time on, pushing a voter suppression bill that most Americans do not support, a bill that appeals to only the most fringe element of the MAGA base.
So he calls this fringe elements of the MAGA base who want this kind of legislation for additional voter integrity measures. He calls it suppression. Let's look at what those polls show of the MAGA fringe. You have multiple polls showing that it's not just Republicans who strongly back the plan, but also Democrats, and a strong majority of Democrats at that, not to mention independents. So I know it's hard to get into the head of your Democratic colleagues, but while Democrats in Washington are opposing this legislation, Democrats outside of the Beltway are fine with it. What gives?
Look, it's purely partisan in nature. The Dems know that they're in trouble on this particular one. They just don't have a way out at this stage of the game. Reality is, who in the world wants, as Americans, doesn't want to make sure that everybody who is saying that they are voting, that they're actually residents and citizens of the United States of America? This is a no-brainer, and it's so easy to do. We already have the voter ID program in place. All of the states have already done it. Anybody that's got a driver's license out there, take a look at your driver's license and see if there isn't a little yellow star up in the corner. That says that you've got an approved system. It's what you take to get on an airplane. And we've heard all sorts of horror stories that have been made up. Bottom line is look, I support this act. I think it's a very good one. The vast majority of Americans do. Once you get past the misinformation that's been provided, they find out that this would actually work.
You support it. Does it have a chance to pass the Senate? By maybe moving some things around, doing a talking filibuster?
Yeah, look, we're doing the talking filibuster. I support the talking filibuster. We're in the middle of it right now. I support everybody else's right to do the same thing. We're going to continue to discuss it. And a number of the Democrats are saying, well, you know, we could use part of it here, or we might be able to support part of it there. So there's a little bit of a crink in there. The question is, how long will it go? And is this the right time to actually get it through? Remember, this bill will not become effective until probably 2028.
Well, I
So
think
we're gonna
any time
continue
is
to
a
work
good
on it.
time to secure our elections.
Absolutely.
So, Senator
Absolutely.
Rounds, great to see you tonight. Thanks
Thank
for coming
you.
in. We'll be watching. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.